The soul of the spirit or the life of man. Let me try that again. The soul is the spirit or the life of man in the external senses. Now, this is a really, if you were looking for a definition of the soul, here you have one. I don't think this is like a definitive definition, but here you have a way of talking about the soul, and it's quite amazing. The soul sees, hears, speaks, weeps, and laughs. So that, I don't know how to kind of capture this idea here, but I like to think about these things. So you have, let me give myself a little bigger whiteboard here. You have in, so we have our sort of external, we have our bodies, which this looks like a chalk, like at a murder scene or something. But then we have so you have the external body, but then you have the sort of life of the inside, the heart, the mind, the internal life that's there. And but then you have these connections between the two. So you've got your eyes that see, and your mouth that speaks, and your hands that feel, and your nose that smells. And there's a way that there's this connection to from the outside stuff, to the inside stuff. Now the eating is the soul doesn't eat, but the soul tastes. This is the seeing and the hearing and the speaking, and so that what is out can come in, and then also what is inside the heart can go out. That's our speaking and our doing. But especially that speaking, this is the operations of the soul sort of manifesting themselves. So there's this connection between the inner and the outer, and Luther is saying that it's that connection, that sort of interface of the inner life. Here's the life that's on the inside, all the stuff that you're feeling and thinking, and then here's all the things that are happening on the outside, and the soul is that interface between the inner life and the outer life. It's kind of a wild thing to think about. Like, why, for example, how do I go from thinking something to saying it? Or how do I go from looking at a word to processing what that word means on a page, Or how do I go from tasting something to, it's just that interface between the inner life and the outer life. And Luther says, you know what that is? That's the soul. Now, there's this old idea from Luther that says, and this is a kind of an amazing one. I think we've talked about this before, where he does the comparison of the temple with the life of man. And so, here's this old question: Are we body and soul, or are we body, soul, and spirit? And the answer is the Bible speaks in both ways, which is kind of nice. And so we can speak in both ways. And I think this is how Luther does it. We remember the tabernacle in the Old Testament. There was the outer court that Moses built. And then inside the outer court was the tabernacle. And that tabernacle had 2 rooms in it. So that in that tabernacle, there was the holy place. And then inside that was the Holy of Holies. And so Luther says that the outer court is like the body, and the tabernacle is like the soul, and the Holy of Holies is the spirit. And so the spirit is part of the soul, but the this is the part of us, the soul, that affects the body. So that interaction, especially between the soul and the body, what we were talking about earlier, is here. But the spirit is what is connected to God and his word. And so for the unbeliever, that spirit is empty. It's dark. There's nothing there. It's just the lights are off. So the unbeliever has a spirit, but it's a dead spirit. It's an empty room. But for the Christian, the Holy Spirit comes and fills our hearts. And now that light from the Lord and his word radiates out to the soul and then to the body. Now, important, and we can't miss this. This is going to be the key thing, and this is going to come up later. How does the Holy Spirit enter in? Not from heaven, not just directly down into the soul, but through the body, especially through the ears. Faith comes by hearing, and the ear, then to the soul, then to the spirit. So like the high priest who comes in with the blood, so the Holy Spirit. Becky says, I didn't mention the heart. I think that we should just simply understand the heart as the soul. This is the Old Testament way of speaking of the soul, is the heart, or what we just can probably call the inner life that we have. So that's all happening in the heart. And so the heart is thinking, feeling, remembering, and acting. Those are the actions of the heart. So anyway, this is some anthropology stuff. I do not know. I was thinking about this. What people think of all of these things now. Like, I think that the problem is that now people don't see a distinct. We are just body, and even the acts of the heart, the thinking, the feeling, all of these are not acts of the soul or the spirit, but rather just mechanical acts of the mind, as if we are chemical, like just sort of these grand chemical things, and all these things are deterministic illusions. Ugh.